Camaro in coupe or convertible. Add whatever you can handle, like hideaway headlights, big car engine. Camaro, lean and molten. Camaro, at your Chevrolet dealers now.
Fisher Body, GM's coach and bodybuilding division, secretly started production on the first Camaro prototype at GM's Norwood Assembly Plant in Norwood, Ohio on May 17, 1966. 4 days later, on May 21st, Chevrolet's team, which was responsible for the chassis and drivetrain, took over to complete the car's final assembly. This first car, labeled N100001, was the first of 52 hand-built pilot cars, 49 made at Norwood and 3 at its sister plant in Van Nuys, California. These functional prototypes helped test engineering tolerances and assembly methods that would help shape the techniques and practices on the production line for the all-new F-Body. The first Camaro wasn't ordered to be a powerhouse muscle car like you might think, but rather affordable and practical, something we don't really associate with the Camaro unless you're comparing it to the Corvette. This first Camaro actually just featured a 230 cubic inch inline 6-cylinder engine, 3-speed column shift transmission, white wall tires, push button radio, front antenna, deluxe seat belts. This first car wasn't actually positioned to show off any kind of performance, but rather its small size, practicality, and sporty looks. But it did have unique elements like power outlets for display lighting and a custom show paint designated finish, as it was destined for GM sales conventions. On June 29, 1966, Pete Estes, head of the Chevrolet division, introduced the world to the Camaro during a televised 14-city press event, kind of like the live stream of its day. He dispelled the rumor that this new car would be named the Panther, explaining that Camaro meant friend or companion, highlighting the car's personal appeal. The press loved it, and it was expected to make up 12% of Chevrolet's production for 1967. Full production kicked off pretty smoothly on August 7, 1966 at Norwood, thanks to the pilot program insights managed by pilot car coordinator Jim Syme.
In 65 is when the word came that we were going to be the ones to do the Camaro, so they needed somebody to be the coordinator between the plant and the engineers in central office. So they decided that would be the one to do that, and that's when I was transferred to the assembly research up in Flint, Michigan.
After starting as an assembly test mule, Camaro No. 1 headed to a sales convention in Detroit at the Sheraton Cadillac Hotel in August of 1966. It was here that a well-connected Midwestern Chevy dealer named R.T. Ayers saw the car and pulled some strings to eventually secure it for himself. After the 1967 sales convention, it was photographed in its Granada Gold show paint at GM's Tech Center. Interestingly, it appeared with and without emblem badges, as these badges were just attached with adhesive for flexibility in the photos. By late 1966, the Camaro returned to Flint, Michigan, where its display lighting was removed before it was sent to Ayers' dealership in Yukon, Oklahoma. Ayers displayed it for over 2 years at his dealership on historic Route 66, attracting crowds and travelers from all over America. His son, R.T. Ayers Jr., remembered his dad's legendary car collection from the day. He even said that he got to drive a 435 horsepower Corvette to high school. I guess it pays to have a dad that's a prominent Chevy dealer. In 1969, a woman by the name of Linda Johnston of Oklahoma City became Camaro No. 1's first owner, paying full price of $2,550. Yep, that's how much a brand new Camaro cost then. Of course, the average home price in America was about $22,000, so I guess that checks out. Years later, a man by the name of Alvis Harper bought it for his son Sam. They enjoyed it until Sam's untimely passing in 1982, after which Harper, heartbroken, sold the car to race car enthusiast Al Tipke. That's right, race car enthusiast. I'm sure you probably know what's coming next. Al immediately started converting it into a drag racer, but thankfully Al preserved the original parts because he did know the car's significance. But by the late 1980s, its history had mostly been forgotten and it went into long-term storage. In 2009, a man named Jobin Sims purchased the car completely unaware of its significance and backstory. It was only after a home insurance check prompted a VIN search that he started investigating, suspecting it might actually be the first Camaro. Needing funds, however, during the economic downturn, he put it up for sale. It was at this point a father and son duo, Corey and Logan Lawson, spotted the listing, dropped everything, and went immediately to inspect it. It was kind of a race to get to the car, and they happened to be first.
The race car builder bought the car in February of 1982 and immediately started the disassembly of the car. He saved the parts, and the car went and was campaigned. And we have pictures of the car being campaigned and straight line drag. And it was campaigned until the late 80s, and that's when it was put into storage. And at that point, that's where we feel like the knowledge of the historical significance behind the car was lost.
They did confirm its historic significance, and they bought it on October 26, 2010. Relying on some small details like unique assembly patterns and an original VIN tag, they were able to use these elements to verify its authenticity. Over the next 4 years, Corey and Logan pieced together the Camaro's past. A lucky connection at the Oklahoma Tax Commission led them to title records confirming that the car had been in Oklahoma since its early days. Later, information from a book titled Echoes of Norwood by Phil Boris and extensive research at the GM Heritage Center helped verify the original options and VIN, sealing its identity as Camaro No. 1 forever. Through interviews and painstaking research with their archivist, Jamie Schwartz, the Lawsons uncovered the full history of this special Camaro. Shipping receipts led them to the Ayers family, while a complete chance encounter at a parts store connected them with Al Tipke, who agreed to sell the Lawsons his entire garage, including the original Camaro parts, thankfully, that he had removed from the car for racing.
The race car builder knew the historical significance, which is why he saved the parts from the pilot program when they were removed. And we were able to find him before he passed, and we were able to pick up all those parts, and we used those in the restoration, which was a wonderful thing to have happen because he passed away about 18 months after we found him, so that would have been lost forever.
In 2012, a full restoration began using nearly all original GM parts, with only a single reproduction seat cover and carpet as an exception. Dave Hanna of Sterling Classics helped bring the car back to life.
I mean, you're finding history. You're finding the first of the first. It just doesn't happen every time. It's kind of like hitting the intellectual lottery when you're able to uncover something like that. It makes you think of what it must have been like for the great tomb raiders to go into Egypt and uncover and actually find the entrance to something valuable that had been hidden for a long, long time, kind of like an archaeological find. But finding the first Camaro built was truly an extraordinary hobby event. And I was very gratified to have identified the car in the book, and then to have the car appear in such a way that I could actually reunite the current owner with the paperwork, and then to find out that the owner created such a dedicated restoration that really paid tribute to the car, its history, and then finally the accuracy of the restoration was just over the top outstanding.
The restored Camaro was unveiled at its birthplace in Norwood, Ohio in October 2014, reuniting with several workers who were responsible for its original build. Since then, Camaro No. 1 has toured the country, especially during Camaro's 50th anniversary celebration in 2016.
The interesting thing about this particular car is the fact that it was hand-built. All the pieces were hand-fitted.
This car was probably built 10 times to learn all the processes in and outs of building the cars.
You'll see more about this special car in the feature-length original motorcar documentary titled Norwood, Where Legends Were Born. This feature documentary not only details the creation of the historic F-body, but it will tell the entire story of the Norwood assembly plant, which was the birthplace of the Chevrolet Camaro and the Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. It also happened to be the first expansion plant that GM built outside of the state of Michigan, the first plant that produced cars for GM 24 hours a day, the first to use robotic welding. The list goes on and on. It's an important piece of history, and we're thrilled to bring that story to you in the full documentary. If you're interested in checking out more about that particular project, go to norwoodlegends.com. And if that website ever changes or updates to a different URL, we'll put that in the description below. So if you liked that story, you'll love the next one. So go ahead and check out another video. We're adding more stories and automotive history mini docs right here on Original Motor Car all the time. And most of all, thanks for watching.